I am now super comfortable. I used to like wait and this and that. I just like pop my phone up and I start talking, but my poor husband thinks I'm talking to him sometimes. And then he's like, and he's just like, are you talking to yourself in there? You like how I know the lingo now? Calm down, right? Destiny. You've done this once.
Hey everyone, it's Amy from Amy's Bookish Life.
And I'm Destiny from Desi Reads on Instagram.
And today we are here talking about the Circus Train.
Our little buddy read we did.
Yay! So usually we start with what we're reading now. What are you reading now, Des?
I am reading Spare by Prince Harry. I'm listening to it on audio and it's him narrating it. So it's been pretty interesting, especially since it's like his voice in my ear throughout the day. That's my current book right now I'm reading. What are you reading?
So I just finished Matthew Perry's Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, which was really difficult to listen to just because you think of him as just being this funny guy. And, you know, like we all know that he suffers with addiction, but it just like he did not pull back punches, you know? And so it's difficult to see that, like somebody that, you know, like having that kind of.
It's so interesting when the actor writes a biography, but then in your mind and whenever you see their face, they're like, they're their, you know, like character that he's Chandler Bing. And then you immediately go into the characteristics of Chandler Bing and like his thing. But it's just like, actually he went through difficulties that like is definitely not Chandler Bing. And like you said, he doesn't hold back. But also a little tidbit of news I just saw. Do you know who is also doing a biography? John Stamos. Yeah, Uncle Jesse.
Yeah, and it was a TikTok, and it was an excerpt. It was an excerpt from the book, right? So let's talk about the Circus Train. So the Circus Train follows Lena Papadopoulos. Is that right?
Yeah. As good as I could do, yes.
Lena Papadopoulos. She contracted polio when she was a baby. Her mother passed away, and so she lives with her father. And the polio leaves her in a wheelchair. Her father is an illusionist, and because he is part of the circus, she gets to be part of the circus as well. But she really struggles being disabled in the circus world. Starts in 1939. Like the main action starts in 1939. So around World War II. And it deals with how circuses fared during World War II and just all kinds of cool things. Do you want to talk about Alexander's introduction to the fold?
Yes, I will. While they are on tour, going from city to city, Lena stumbles across in the kitchen area, I believe, this little boy, and young boy, and he is collapsed on the floor. She's going through his things, trying to figure out who he is, and she gets his like paperwork and just trying to figure out some form of identity of this stranger that has come aboard on the train. And as she is getting people together to figure out, you know, how to wake him up, whatnot, get him the care that he needs, we learn that his name is Alexander. He is an orphan, and the train and the circus head, Horace, decides to invite him to join the circus. Why not? If he can, you know, come up with a skill and become part of the circus, then why not? I think that was his main thinking. So he comes, he joins, they then start a friendship, and it kind of goes from there. He becomes part of the circus life and family life, but he has secrets of his own, and you learn about them throughout the book, but that's pretty much.
Yeah, and Alexander and Lena, they're about the same age, and they become very fast friends to the point where it really makes her father happy, because he's like, I want her to have friends, and she doesn't have friends. So like he kind of encourages Alexander to be friends with Lena, and he's like, okay, but she's already my friend.
Yeah,
I really like that. But
he tries to have kind of more of a contract with Alexander, like if you continue
Theo,
to be
the dad.
the dad, if you continue to be your friend, it will be comfortable here for you. You know, I will make sure you have these amenities, these types of things. And Alexander is just in such a confusion about, but I'm already her, like you said, but I'm already your friend. Like, I don't need anything. I just want to be your friend. He's probably just thankful that, you know, he has found a place to call home for the time being, for however long he would like.
Right. Yeah. I love Alexander. I think he was such a kind-hearted, wonderful character. I just thought he was a great character.
And I also think he developed from where we met him, which was barely any information. He had such a great story, and also like just the growth and the character development that the writer, bestowed on him. I think he definitely was one of the main, I feel like the main character or the co-character. You know, he definitely became,
oh yeah,
you were rooting for him toward the beginning.
Yeah, he was definitely a character we were supposed to be rooting for, and it was easy to root for him because of how much he was growing throughout the story and all of those things. So I'm going to throw the spoiler up because we're getting to that point where there might be spoilers.
Okay, yes. So to wrap up the summary, as the circus train is moving along from city to city, the war has now started becoming more and more apparent. Restrictions, the SS is coming and being more involved. And then events happen, and Alexander and Theo are taken by the SS, and it leaves Lena vulnerable and alone. And really, for the first time, she has to start making decisions of how to survive, how to proceed forward, how to receive this information, and what to do, because throughout her life she's always had her father to depend on, and now it's almost, I would say, a little bit ironic timing, because she was, I mean, spoiler, she was voicing some independence. She wanted some independence, and this seems like during the character story, she was like, I would like to do these types of things. You know, I'm getting older. And then all of a sudden it goes from like her getting her own room on the train to now like she has no idea where the two kind of pillars of strength in her support team have gone, and trying to find out where they went, you know, and the end result, the answers that she wanted, was extremely hard. So you get to see that growth and development from her as a character too, because man, did she grow like.
Yeah. There was the third pillar too, in her tutor, that really encouraged her to be more independent. And her tutor was, why can't I think of her
Clara.
Clara. Clara was fired by Theo because she was encouraging too much independence, and Theo was like, no, I can't do that. I can't send her to school. And of course, like, he had his reasons, which I think, we can get into that more. Like, his reasons were, how valid his reasons were, but like,
I think good intent, but I think
like he had good intentions and he had reasons for why he didn't want her spreading her wings too far. But when they were captured, Clara was already gone. And so
Mhm.
she was kind of left floundering a little bit. Thankfully, she had kept in touch with Clara, and Theo was okay with that. So she had kept in touch with Clara, and so she was able to keep in touch with Clara and get to Clara
Yes.
when that happened. So yeah, I felt like this book went like up and down in what was
Exactly.
happening. Like you'd be like, okay, it looks like everything's going great now, and then all of a
I
sudden you'd be
feel
like,
like it was a slow start, and then once it got going, it felt like honestly, it felt like a train. It just kept going, and I'm like, "Oh, and the book's already over now." Like,
mhm,
a good chunk of the book was getting to this point of action. And I also think another pillar of strength for her was the doctor, Dr. Wilson, because
oh
he
yes, yes.
definitely had the best interest, and so did I feel like minor supports were the whole entire cast, but I don't think
Mhm,
they once she decided to go and find Clara, I'm not for sure if they kept in touch with the like circus performers. You didn't really hear much after she decided to leave the
mhm.
train, leave the circus. And
It was enough that she was like Horace knew. Well, he knew about where she was in order
Mhm.
to see that how they could get in touch at the
Yeah.
end.
Oh, I meant like the performers, like the cook, everyone was like a pretty tight knit group, kind of family. And
Mhm,
then once the action started and Theo and Alexander was arrested or taken away, uh,
mhm.
and she then decided to go seek out Claire for support and shelter and a
Yeah.
new adventure. Um,
What I
I
think is
don't.
weird is that it says like in the jacket copy that they get
Mhm.
arrested, and that doesn't happen until like the
I know
last
it's on the
fucking
back. It's on my back of my book, so that's why I had said it
book.
earlier because I was like, well, if I'm summarizing it,
Like
it's
this
on
is
the back
jacket
of the
copy.
book.
Jacket copy, like they get arrested, like
Okay, so for me, I forgot that they were going to get arrested because
oh
it
yeah.
took so long for them to get arrested that when it
Mhm.
actually happened, I was like, wait, what's going on? But
Yeah. I always say I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me
okay.
on jacket copies that they put things in there that take place after 50%. Like, why? Like, shouldn't you put all the stuff in the beginning that like
hmm It was interesting that that happened toward a good more than half of the book was over. But then during their time of encapturement or arrestment, that it really wasn't as detailed. Not that I needed it to be detailed, but it seemed like it was. They said that they were captured for a year,
mhm.
but
Because time was moving so fast by that time.
yeah, well, yeah, because like you barely got a little glimpse and inside of where they were, which was, I mean, how much could you really talk about that? I try to see what the author was trying to do, like, oh, not to give too much, and like they're not part of the main story, they're kind of the side story, and like the main story, the main kind of character is Lena and how she's developing and how she
But I think Alexander was supposed to be a main character, but
I
so
think
it's
so
like
too.
I think she wanted that split timeline so that
Mhm.
where we get Lena's point of view and we get Alexander
Okay.
and Theo's point of view so that she could add that suspense in then
Oh,
because
that's yeah.
you know
Spoiler alert, the man, she didn't after that big event, after their performance, they decided to run. They were under contract with this camp because they were performers and they were performing for the soldiers. They were brought in forcefully to be performers for entertainment for the soldiers, is what I had taken. I don't think they were part of the laboring camp, but they noticed people going in large packs. It was kind of slightly talked about that, people were building things and then they would leave and they wouldn't come back. But they didn't really say, oh, they were, prisoners. Oh, they were Jews. Oh, they were, it was the Holocaust. It kind of, you knew what was happening because you are now, the history.
Well, and they called it it was the ritzy concentration camp.
Yeah.
It was the good concentration camp.
I don't think so. but so they decide, okay, they're not going to let us leave. I was wrong. Our year of the contract is up. We're going to run. So they decide to run. Obviously, the guards were let in because people have ears and eyes.
It's not going to go as planned because
eyes and ears everywhere.
Narrative.
Commotion at the train station. Odd that everything centers around a train station. Like, you notice this. They bring this train station. It is a pivotal theme, reoccurring theme in this book, which is great. Anyway, there's this commotion at the train station, and pow, a gunshot goes off. And then the next chapter, they don't say Theo. They don't say Alexander. They go, the man. The man is doing this. The man is doing that. I'm like, which man? You don't know a good, solid chapter.
Oh my gosh.
Figure it out.
And you know what? Let's not spoil that.
Yeah. And then when you have decided and figured it out, then you have questions about the other counterpoint, and the way you find out is so lackluster. It's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know. I was just like,
I expected a little more fanfare, around that. Yeah. I gave it 4.5 stars. We didn't say that. What did you give it?
I would say in between 3.5 and 4, because I had a few questions. There was a few parts of the book that I wish kind of was shrunk down to just a couple of chapters. And I feel like some things with certain characters shouldn't have even been in there. But one minor character, character was Lena's person of interest, Harry, her
love interest, because she moves on. She moves on.
It's been a while since
she thinks that her father, for reasons, she thinks her father and Alexander both died.
Yeah, and it's been multiple years.
They were captured.
It's been multiple years since they have been captured and whatnot. So she moves on, love interest, as you say. And there are chapters for him doing whatever he's doing. And I say, why do I care what Harry's doing? Cool. You could have put it in a sentence. You did not need to give him a full chapter. I just think that was so silly. I was like, come on now. I don't care what he's doing for work, to be honest with you. I understand the parts that he was in the book and how he was conversating with Lena and they were making decisions about education and travel and all of those things. I understand that because that's typical of a relationship. But the other chapters about him and his work, I skimmed past. I was like, we're really talking about him still. That's how I felt. I was like, and just like how you said, there were some times where time was sped up, and then there were some times where it was like, we're trying to get to the next point. And I feel like it was a great book. I really liked it, but there were just some things that I wasn't fully 100% invested.
Yeah.
And I feel like
you're going to have those big time jumps anytime you have a book that's trying to span as much time as this book tried to span.
That's true. And
I think in the grand scheme of things, she did a fairly good job of whittling out what shouldn't be there. I see what you're saying about Harry. I don't know that I necessarily agree. I kind of liked.
Okay, that's fine.
I like to be there. I don't know. I felt like it was there to help us see what it was that she was like,
you're
I can move
for a good guy. Yes.
Because Harry's actually a good guy. And you
feel bad for him. I know, Amy. I know.
Okay, that she
you want to know what happens to Harry. You
him.
He's a good guy.
she kind of like the author, Amina Parikh, makes it so that we like Harry, so that we can see why, or attempts to make us like Harry or respect him in some ways, so that it,
I mean,
because we as the reader know that Alexander is alive.
Yes,
So
he's a great second place. He's a great replacement if he were
for being able to move on from this relationship. Yes. She gets the reader to be like okay with Harry, but then she needs to make it okay that Harry's not around anymore. Like
yes, I agree. I will agree with that.
So I get your point, and I get why people might not want it because they're, legit.
3 sentences. I don't need.
Yeah. Lena is faced with difficult hardships in her youth. How did those obstacles shape her? So, obviously, she was in a wheelchair, on a train.
Mm-hmm.
Circus life is not paved in any way. Mm-hmm. So, how did they shape her?
I feel like it shaped her to be the person she is. She has strength. She has a good, keen eye for people, and maybe because she kind of questions Alexander too about his authenticity of their relationship and their friendship. Because
she got burned before.
Yes, and I also think it kind of plays a way of just growth for her, because she was, has been in the wheelchair since the beginning, and as far as she can remember. So I'm pretty sure that it has brought, I'm trying to think how to describe this. It has brought her maturity, she kind of has to be some sort of survivor from it.
Well, and I think at the beginning, she was, when we first meet her, she was very much played the victim. Do you know what I mean? It was, I can't do that because of this. I can't do that because of this. And it wasn't really until Alexander came around
that he
encouraged her, and one of the things she thought she couldn't do was have friends and talk to other people, and so he really just took down all those doors. So what affected her journey the most, Alexander or her disability?
I think what affected her the most, because she did have the disability, and I wouldn't say failing to thrive. I would say that she had some mental and physical struggles, more mental, because she had that blocker. And I feel
I think she was struggling to survive.
Yes.
Not necessarily failing, but definitely struggling to thrive. Sorry.
Yes.
She was struggling to thrive.
Yes. And I definitely think that with him coming in and showing her just friendship and encouragement and kind of saying, well, why not? I'm this far, I've done this. And he kind of says, everyone has struggles, but let's not make it all that you are. Let's overcome them. So I definitely think he was the pivotal, just his friendship, his encouragement, the way that he literally cheerleaded for her and supported her. I think sometimes being an outsider supported her a little bit better than her dad did, because her dad was very guarded and led with his emotions rather than rational thinking. And I think that's what Alexander did. He was rational about things, and he was just well, have you tried? Have you thought of this? Well, why not? Right. What could it hurt?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Alexander is the big thing that shaped her more than that shaped who she became eventually, more than her dad, more than her disability. I think that it was Alexander, and then herself overcoming those and deciding to overcome those things that really shaped who she was.
Do you think that he was in the back of her mind, kind of as a voice of reason in her head? Like, do you think the reason why she did progress after the train, after the circus, was that he might have been a driving force for
Right.
her, like without being there? Because
Mhm.
he did set that foundation of like strength for her. So anything that
Right.
she wanted to do afterward. And so did Claire, though, too. Claire really pushed for that education and
Hmm.
allowed her to, be as like successful academically as she was.
Yeah. I think a lot, the fact that she thought both her father and Alexander were dead,
Mm-hmm.
um, really made it. So she was like, all right, well, they didn't make it. So I have to be strong. Like, and I have to, like, I think both of them were like in the back of her mind because her and her dad actually had like started to kind of resolve some of those reasons he was so
Mm-hmm.
protective too.
I think she just probably wanted to make them both proud in different aspects too, because
Yeah.
they had different goals for her, and I think she was trying to achieve those, and to honor them and their sacrifices and their thoughts and everything. That she was like, I'm going to be, this is my path in life, and this is what I'm going to do, and get into a field that is male dominated and be accepted and admit all the struggles and challenges, because like that's not going to break me down, because I've had to struggle and it hasn't been easy, and I've overcome my obstacles and overcome my personal goals, and have accepted life and how it's going. And she definitely didn't um stop or let that be the end all be all.
Circus Train portrays themes of disability, representation, magic, and illusion, and the horrors that occurred during World War II. Were there any facts about the topics that were surprising to you?
um
Or
I
made you want to learn more?
I think the treatment that they used and for her, that the
Oh,
treatments
yeah.
that were used for
Mhm.
her were so interesting.
Like that was a
Yeah,
way that they, like physical
yeah.
therapy to
And
try
the
to,
end and the end result that it brought upon, I was like,
yeah.
huh.
Yeah. I was, I don't know why I was so surprised by it. I'm sure I've heard it before. And like, because I've read enough World War II books
Yeah.
and had enough lessons on it at school. This is something I should know, right? Okay. But the fact that they brought in people to entertain at the concentration camps,
How awkward.
like,
Sorry,
so
I'm just like,
awkward.
how awkward. And just like how like,
And like that's the ritzy one. You know what I mean? Like this is a good
yeah,
one because we have entertainers who we are basically kidnapping and threatening with death.
I just
Like that was amazing. And based in fact. If Lena was born in today's age,
mhm.
how would her path have been different?
I just think that if she were born in today's time, the way she was born, how early she was, um, medical advances, I think she would have been in a healthier state, that maybe she wouldn't have contracted polio and became wheelchair bound. Because I mean, I'm very unknowledged about this, unaware, but I don't hear people being wheelchair bound from polio.
No,
I
no.
mean, I think we've
She
gotten that
wouldn't
a little
she
bit on
wouldn't
hand.
have real I mean, the chances of her I mean, the chances are still there, but the chances of
Yeah.
her having polio would have been
Well,
practically impossible. Polio is largely eradicated
mhm.
with.
Well, And she was born
So,
early, so we have advances medically.
which would have not been as serious of a thing now. But she still would have had a very overprotective father.
I mean, yeah, that's given. But I honestly think, like, in today's age, I think those little stepping stones of birth, early birth, sickness for both, let's say, for both mother and child, I don't think that would have been an issue in today's.
But I think the reason he was overprotective would have been an issue.
Oh, yes. I just think it would have been in a different format.
Yeah.
Different now than when it was in the 30s. And I think, I honestly don't think her growth or her journey would have been anywhere the same, because we're just advanced medically. We're advanced just, technology wise.
For sure. Like they would have been able to find each other. It wouldn't have been who's here, who's, like
Word of mouth. You would have had a picture of
away.
her at some point.
But also they would have had a harder time getting away too in this world of technology and social media because they'd be caught right away too. Like,
and do you think they would have been as successful as magicians and circus performers as they were? I mean, they were pretty, the way it was written, they were pretty fantastic and talented. But do you think it would have been up to par with the talent? It has evolved from the 30s to now. I just don't know if they would have been in that same position, if that makes sense, captured in this and that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just going to say this. I'm so happy what happened to Horace, the circus, the ringmaster, as you want to call him. I just love that he was such a, I just didn't like him as a character. And I'm glad that, like,
I think he was a good character in terms of, like, he was the villain. Like, he was the villain
yes.
needed. So he was a good character in that sense. But, like the gaslighting and the manipulation and, like, he was one of those characters that you love to hate.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just glad that his ending of his story was the ending that he had.
Do you think Theo was a good father to Lena?
I do. I think, we can sit here and go, he was overprotective, he was this and that, but he was there, he was loving, he was supportive. He created a world for her. He saw the need for a friend. And, like, it wasn't out of a malicious place that he tried to have a contract with Alexander. He just knew, he saw that spark in her, that, like, that bond of friendship that he so willingly wanted her to have, but he wanted to keep her safe. He was trying to keep promises, to her mother. And
yeah,
I can't fault him for it. Like, I mean, when
there was nothing neglectful or malicious in anything that Theo did. Yeah.
I think he was a good father. I think it's hard. It's probably hard letting go. I mean, I don't know, obviously my babies are smaller, but, like, just knowing that they're, like, away from you and they're, like, you know what I mean? I mean, you're giving up control when you've had their life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel that way about the 8th graders when they leave my school.
Yeah, it's like you've made decisions for them this far. You've protected them from, hurt and pain and, all the things as much as you can. And then one day they just want to, walk into school without holding your hand, or they want to just, like, leave you. And it's just,
or they just sit down and say, "Bye, Mom."
Yeah, but
"Bye, Mom, you go now."
I was like, this is going to be a fun year. Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of what you want, is them to be comfortable and to them to grow and experience things. I think it's harder for most. And I think especially since she was medically complex and she was in a, well, he again, he was, dealing with it, and he obviously didn't have other kids. This was his only child. So I could imagine her getting sick, then becoming the guilt that must have taken.
And the way Lena's mom passed away the way she did, what she went through in her life, like there was.
And he's raising this baby, then she gets sick, and then she gets they talked about her crawling around and like thriving in this and that, and he, was trying to expose her just to life in general and life experiences, and then she got sick. I couldn't imagine the guilt he probably must have faced. And they don't have counselors back then, I don't think, that he probably sat with that guilt for the longest time. So he made these.
Yeah. I mean, whether there were counselors or not, like he sat with that guilt. He didn't.
Yeah. And that's probably why a lot of those barriers and walls, because he wanted to keep her safe. And in his mind, he failed the first time. I mean, what's worse than being wheelchair bound? Not being here. That's the next. I mean, I don't know what other step there could be. I mean, other than her becoming fully paralyzed. Like, I don't, I get him. I think he was a great dad.
Yeah. Who is your favorite character in the book?
Ooh, I have a few. I do
too.
So Alexander is a really good favorite.
Yeah.
And then I believe his name is Maurice or Mario, and he was the cook.
Oh.
He was very small character, but
man,
had a big heart. And I did like
Dr. He didn't talk a lot, but when he talked, he said stuff,
Yes. And he made lovely food, and it was the birthday scene that really captured me, because he cooked all that food and he made, in the worst time possible, in the heat of just, you knew this is the last happy moment of everyone together at one place at one time, having carefree time, just celebrating. And this was the last thing before it started turning, the action started happening. And it's just like, he made that wonderful cake. And then when Clara got married, and obviously he didn't make her cake because he wasn't around, they even mentioned him like, oh, if he was here, he would make a wonderful, like, this is a great cake, but we're rationing this and that. Like, we're throwing together a wedding to have a wedding and not to be frivolous and not to be, extravagant. And she said he made creations out of pine nuts, and her groom was like, oh, good thing, because I'm looking at my, figure, as he said, which was hilarious to me.
I really liked Clara's husband.
I thought Fritz.
Also not Fitz. Also not there very often. But,
but he was so
he a good character.
Sweet.
I mean, obviously I loved Lena and I loved Alexander. And I thought Theo was a great character too.
He was.
The thing is, you spent a good part of the book thinking things about Theo. That,
he was a mysterious character.
He's very mysterious.
You didn't know all the layers he had to him.
Yeah. All right, so let's brainstorm our cast.
Oh my God, yes! Okay.
So who is playing Lena? Now, okay, I don't know a whole lot of Greek actresses. Obviously, we should be looking for a Greek actress. However, we're not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. Maybe you will. We're just like, we're not looking at.
No, we're just casting.
We're just going to, yeah. And probably based on characters that all of these people have already done. So, okay. Lena.
Okay, you tell me.
But young Lena, we'd probably need like multiple ages of Lena. Right?
Yes.
because she like grows.
But I think the younger version. Okay, so the actress I have in mind for Lena can play the teenage version, but can also play the older version because she just has a baby face, and it's Alexis Bledel from Gilmore Girls because she played a Greek heritage in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and has the character, she's like meek and mild and kind of soft spoken, and I feel like, but then at sometimes she could stand up for herself. That's who I think.
But she'd be playing really young because she's my age.
Yeah, I guess I did.
Like in real life. But I legit, she really could pass for a teenager.
Maybe we get a younger teenager and then get her.
Yeah. I think in my head, I'm picturing Keira Knightley. But Keira Knightley when she was in Love Actually.
Okay, because I was like, I can't get over this accent of hers. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. All I think about her is like, Will Turner, and I can't take it out.
I don't know why she just or Jennifer Lawrence. Actually, Jennifer Lawrence. I see
that would be a good one. That would be a good one. I can see
good
that
too. But I don't know. I think Alexis Bledel is probably the front runner. I think.
Yeah. Okay. So
for that one. Okay. So we have Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander.
I know what you're gonna say.
Who?
Say it.
Oh, I don't have because he is.
Really?
Huh?
Okay.
Because he is he said he could fool Germans, so he's like fair-skinned, blonde, blue eyes. So that's what I'm thinking. He's not my top celebrity. He's not there because I like tall, dark.
Okay, well, I thought you were going to continue on the Golden Girls theme, and I thought you were going to
you mean Golden Girls? Oh, Logan. Dean.
Or Logan.
Dean.
Yeah.
No, Dean needs to stay in Stars Hollow. I don't like Dean.
Oh my gosh. But I love him in Supernatural.
Yes, he can stay over there. But no, I don't want to do too much Gilmore Girls. I have to think. It's hard to think on the top.
Oh, I just thought you were going to stay there.
Can you do any actor from any like
I'm pretty sure the rules are out the window at this point.
So it's a fantasy. Okay, so I think it would be good if you got Devin from Casper.
Devin Saw?
Yeah, because he's blonde, blue eyes, super cute, and then you could kind of almost age him a little bit, or get a lookalike that looked like him, and then get him to be the older one. I'm trying to think who else would be.
Yeah, he could do the old. He could do the older for sure.
You know who I was thinking? Who could be the dad? Who's
John Stamos?
I mean, yeah. That's not who I was thinking, but that could work. Mm-hmm. I was thinking the guy. Oh, I know him from Hop, but I'm trying to think.
James Marsden?
Yes, he is so like lovable.
I can't even have you watched Jury Duty yet?
No. I just think of him. I think he would be a good.
Oh. I mean, I know he played a character of himself. Yeah, no, I could see him. Being the dad. I think John Stamos would be good, though.
I think John Stamos, would be good. Who would be Horace, the villain?
Rainn Wilson.
Oh, I could see
from The Office. Yeah. Oh, you know who else I was thinking for Theo was John Krasinski from The Office. Probably because I have because I've been rewatching The Office, but
I could see, what is the guy's name? The guy from, because you have to have an evil, he was a bad guy. And all I think about is the guy from Walking Dead. Do you know who I'm talking about?
The one that has Lucille.
Yes.
Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yes. Jeffrey. I think that's his name. Yep. I kind of want a Mark Ruffalo as Theo, as the dad. Because he has the Greek olive-ish skin. I know he's not Greek. I don't think he's Greek.
I mean, he grew up in Wisconsin. Or he was born in Wisconsin. He lived in Wisconsin at some point.
I mean...
That doesn't really mean anything.
No. Nobody lives here anyway.
Yeah.
Closest person that lived here was Ashton Kutcher, but that was in the state over. It wasn't in my state.
There have to be famous people from Nebraska.
I mean, there are, but they don't live here. I know Lady Gaga lived here for a time period.
None of them live here anymore.
She lived here for a time. So I heard, because she was dating somebody from here.
Tony Shalbo lived here in Wisconsin.
Okay. Who else would be cast members?
Tony Shalbo would be a good Maurice.
You would.
The cook.
You would.
Couldn't you just see it?
I can. You know who would be good SS soldiers a little bit is the Swedish gentleman. I think they're Swedish. That it's the brothers. One of the brothers plays Pennywise in it. There's 3 of them. And they're blonde. They're very... Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do, but I do not know the name.
Okay, let me see. Can I do cast? I don't want to just look at images. I was like, Oh, Bill Skarsgård. Skarsgård? Yeah. Him and his brothers, he's Swedish. Yep, they're Swedish.
All I know is without the Pennywise makeup, he is a cutie patootie.
Him and his brothers both have... Oh my gosh, I clicked on his name to pronounce it, and he did the Pennywise face, but without the makeup on a late night show. And that's the only picture that popped up, and you're like, he's such a cutie. And I'm like, oh, he's a looker. He's a looker.
All right. Well, I think this is a great discussion. Thank you so much for discussing with me and being on my channel.
No problem. Thanks for having
Someday
me.
soon, maybe we'll be on your channel.
Yeah, maybe.
If you have anything to say about Circus Train, I know quite a few people were reading Circus Train during Catch-a-Thon, as I was.
Same.
So if you have anything you want to tell us about the Circus Train, if you want to weigh in on any of our questions, comment down below, subscribe. We love you for it. But that's all we have for you for today. I hope you're finding something wonderful to read. And until next time, happy reading.
See ya.
Bye. You okay? Oh, what was that? Did you hear testing? So